In this video, we're going to talk about the link between the resource market and the product market. So this is kind of the beginning part of Chapter 4 in Section 4.1. Okay. So put simply, a resource market is the market where companies go and buy the raw materials and resources that they use to make the final products, the products that we buy. Right. So the resource market here is essentially where companies buy the resources they use to make the final products we buy. Okay. When we buy products, we buy them in the product market, right? This is where consumers shop. We shop in the product market, right? So this is where we buy the final products that the producers have created, okay? So we've used supply and demand to analyze single markets, and now we can see how the forces of supply and demand in one market, the resource market, affect the other market, the product market, where we buy goods and services, okay? So we can look at these together with two graphs. So on the right-hand side, we're going to have the product market, right? This is where we buy stuff. This is going to be the product market, okay? And on the left-hand side, we're going to have the resource market. This is where companies buy the resources they use to produce the things we buy, okay? So let's have some fun. We're going to talk about loofahs, because, loofahs are always fun. Anyway, so over here in the product market, we have the market for loofahs, and I probably misspelled loofahs. I think it's spelled a little differently, but whatever. And over here in the resource market, let's talk about, and it's used as the resource to make loofahs, plastic, right? Loofahs are mostly plastic. So this is going to be the market for plastic over here on the left, okay? All right, so let's draw in our diagrams for each market, right? They're markets, they have buyers and sellers, and they operate in a similar way, okay? So let's start with the resource market. Put quantity here, okay? And we'll put price up here, okay? So we're going to label our axes. Then, remember where we go, there it is. Let's draw in our demand curve. Nice downward sloping demand curve, something like this. Demand there, and let's draw in our supply curve. I don't know, something like this. Here's our supply, okay? And as usual, we will label equilibrium right about here. Right there. This is going to be P star. And this is, we'll put an R here for the resource market. And this is going to be Q star. And again, we'll put a little R down here for the resource market, okay? So this is the market for plastic, and it has buyers and sellers, and it has an equilibrium price, okay? Now let's go over here to the product market and draw in the market for loofahs. Again, we got to label it. We got quantity over here on the horizontal axis and price up here on the vertical axis, okay? So let's put in a demand curve. I don't know, demand for loofahs probably quite high. Something out here. Demand for loofahs, okay? Draw in a supply curve for loofahs. Something like this. This is going to be our supply for loofahs, okay? So we can go ahead, the market for loofahs, we know people will move towards equilibrium. So go ahead and fill that in here. We'll put a P for the product market, put a star. And we'll put a Q down here, put a P, and a star for equilibrium in the product market. All right. So on the left-hand side is the resource market for plastic, and on the right-hand side is the final product market for loofahs, right? So businesses operate over on the left-hand market, and they're the buyers of the resource. Then they take that plastic and they make it into loofahs, and on the right-hand side, they're the sellers of loofahs, okay? All right, so let's suppose there's, I don't know, massive fires at half the plastic factories in the world, which means that a bunch of plastic in the factories were destroyed, right? And so that's going to shift our supply curve, right? Things like natural disasters, fires, will affect the supply of plastic, okay? So that's going to shift our supply curve to the left. Right? So we're going to have a decrease in supply. S2, S1, supply shifts over to the left here. Okay, that's supposed to be an arrow. All right, well, we know our new equilibrium now is going to be over here, which is a higher price and a lower quantity. So now P star increases, and our quantity here is going to decrease. So we get a higher price and lower quantity. Okay? All right. Well, if you're a producer of loofahs and the price of plastic has gone up, remember one of the things that shifts supply curves is the cost of input goods. So the cost of inputs to make loofahs has now gone up. So you, as a supplier of loofahs, over here in the product market, your supply curve is also going to shift to the left. And we won't make it the exact same shift. Somewhere, something like this, your supply curve shifts to the left. S2, S1, we get a decrease in supply over here. Okay. So we're going to have a new equilibrium. And this is P, we'll call it P2 star and Q2 star. Okay. So this kind of shows you that link between the resource and the product market. So changes in the resource market are going to affect changes in the product market, right? And this means plastic became more scarce, so the price of it rose, right? And we know prices communicate information. So that tells the makers of loofahs, hey, use less plastic when you're making loofahs because it became expensive, right? And so that kind of shows you the link between the two markets. So changes in the market for resources eventually translates through to the markets where we buy our products, right? So that is, it will affect eventually the markets where we buy products, right? So both the resource market and the product market are linked.